Greetings. This is Spec Ops 56 and welcome to my kitchen. This will be the final episode for the year 2013 of Crockpot Meals for Real Men. Since this is December 31st, 2013, New Year's Eve. And Happy New Year to you all. I thought that it would be appropriate to fix a little bit of comfort food for the cold weather to keep us all nice and warm and full and satisfied inside. So what we're going to do today in the big crock pot is navy bean soup. Now the second thing we're going to do is going to be for dessert, which I'll show you later, and this will also be a good comfort food. In the little crock pot we're going to be making the Ukrainian honey cake. But for now, let's get to the navy bean soup. And here's the ingredients you're going to need. First thing you're going to need is a bag of dried navy beans. I just get the cheaper store brand. Okay. Take the navy beans and you want to rinse them. Then you want to cover them in water. Put them in the refrigerator and let them soak overnight. Then you want to rinse them again and then they'll be ready. You're going to be needing chicken broth. You're going to be needing some green onions cut up. You'll need some, now you can use different things. I like to use bacon. You could use fatback, ham, whatever you happen to have. I use the thick cut bacon and about 3 slices of the thick cut bacon cut up into smaller pieces. It's just about right. This will add a lot of good flavor. You're going to need some hot sauce. Normally I use the red Louisiana, Texas Pete type hot sauce, but I ran out of that and I've got this stuff that I've never tried before, so this should make it interesting. But normally I would recommend the regular Louisiana style hot sauce. You're going to need a little garlic powder, a little onion powder, and a little bit of sage. Now we're going to go ahead and basically you're going to combine all these in the pot. As far as the hot sauce, the garlic powder, the onion powder, the sage, you just put a little bit of each one in there, whatever looks right to you, no set amount. And cover it good with the chicken broth and start it up on high. Because of that, I don't think you need to watch me put all the stuff in there, so we're going to cut away, put the ingredients in the pot, show it to you and get it started, and then we'll go on over and I'll start showing you the dessert. So we'll be right back. Okay, I'm back, and I did forget one ingredient to tell you about, and that is some frozen sliced carrots. So there again, no particular measurement, just toss enough carrots in there till you're satisfied. Maybe, I don't know, maybe a cup and a half, something like that. That'll be enough. Okay, let's get it mixed in. And I'm going to need some more of the chicken broth. And, okay. That should be about right. Bring the camera in and show them what it looks like after it's all put in there. So that's about how much liquid you want to put in there. You can adjust that as it cooks. The beans should get softer and start to thicken things up a bit. So you can, that way you'll be able to adjust it to the soupiness that you want. Alright, well, we're going to cut away now, and then when we come back we'll be ready to tell you about the dessert. Okay, now it's time to tell you about today's dessert. Today we're having a very simple recipe for Ukrainian honey cake. And this recipe is just about as simple as it gets. You're going to be needing honey, about 1 cup. You're going to be needing 1.5 cups of flour, about a teaspoon of baking powder, 4 eggs that you're going to beat up, and you're going to want to give a good coating of either butter or cooking spray inside the crock pot, and you want to start the crock pot to preheating on high before you pour the batter in. So we're going to go ahead and get everything put together into the batter and get it ready to go in the crock pot, and then we'll come right back. Okay, we're back, and we've got the batter prepared for the cake. What you want to do to make the batter, you take your cup of honey, and you're going to want to warm it up. You can either do that over hot water. I did it in the microwave about 20-25 seconds. You want to get it, you don't want it boiling hot, but you want it warm enough that it flows easier, that it's thinner. So then you take it and you want to whip it up until it's kind of frothy, and then put that into your bowl you're going to mix your batter in. To that you want to add your 4 beaten eggs, mix all that in, and your teaspoon of baking powder, and then start adding your 1.5 cups of flour, and mix that in with the electric mixer. I do it about a 1/2 cup of flour at a time, and just put some in and mix it in, and so on and so forth, until you finally get your bowl of batter, which should look something like this. Okay, now during the time you've been doing this, you should have had your little crock pot preheating on high, and so mine has been. So now I'm going to pour in the batter. Here, so don't want my lid to stick. Looks like it needs a little further mixing here. And this much batter will fill up about that much, if you can see it. All right, put the lid on. Leave it on high. Now this is another one of those things where, you know, when you're doing cakes in a crock pot, there's no exact time period that you're going to let it cook for. You just cook it until it's done. Basically, you want to come back and check it about every hour and see how it looks. And when it starts looking, probably at least 2 hours is what it'll take. When it starts looking like it's cake, then you just test it with your toothpick and put it in, and when the toothpick comes out clean, if it looks done, then it probably is done. So we're going to go and do some other things while all this cooks, and then we'll be back when it's time to check on the cake and when it's time to stir the soup. So we'll see you then. Well, it's been 2 hours, so it's time to stir the soup. And you can see what it looks like so far. Still got some cooking to do, but it's starting to look like soup. Back on, come back in another couple of hours and it should be ready to eat. I know I'll be ready to eat. So next thing we'll do is in about a half an hour we'll go and check the cake and see how it's coming along. Okay, the cake has been cooking in the little crock pot for about 2 hours. And so I think it's probably done. We're going to go ahead and check it. Yep, it's looking like cake. And we'll give it the toothpick test. It's clean enough to me. It's fairly dense like the cakes do get when they're done in a crock pot. So what we're going to do, and I'm going to do this off camera in case I end up dumping it somewhere other than the cooling rack. And I'll be right back after I get it on the cooling rack so you can see what it looks like. And so that's what we're going to do now. Okay, I managed to get the cake flipped onto the cooling rack without making too much of a mess, and here's what it looks like. Looks pretty good, smells pretty good, and once it has a chance to cool, then we're going to find out if it tastes pretty good. So we'll see you when I have something else to show you. Alright, it's been about 4 hours since we started the soup, and I do believe that it is now ready. You can take a look and see as we stir it here. Now, one thing that I did off camera just before we started to film to help with the make it a little creamier, I took about a cup's worth of the beans out of the soup and ran it through. I added about enough chicken broth to just cover the beans in the blender, and ran it through the blender and poured that back in, and that was just enough, just right to make it the right consistency and flavor that I think is what we're after. So we'll find out with our usual guinea pig, and we all know who that is. And get some there. And we'll have there. All right, John.
Here we go.
Here we go.
It does look very good.
Let me know what you think.
Excellent. Good taste all the way through.
Is it creamy enough, or you think it might have needed more?
No, it's creamy enough.
Okay.
It is real good.
The flavor?
Flavor's all there. I taste the bacon.
Can you tell anything about that hot sauce that I used?
Just a little, not
Okay.
much.
Because I didn't expect it to be hot. I wasn't trying for that. I didn't know if the flavor difference between that one and the regular Louisiana might have made any kind of a difference, positive or negative.
To me, it could have stood a little bit more, but it
Probably.
is still delicious.
We can get it out the refrigerator and you can shake it on there to your heart's content.
I think I will. Thank you.
All right. Well, this is the navy bean soup. And the last thing we'll be taste testing after we eat us a bowl of navy bean soup is our dessert, and that'll be the Ukrainian honey cake, which should be ready to eat by the time we get done with the soup. So we'll see you then. Okay, now we come to the final segment here. The Ukrainian honey cake has pretty much completely cooled down. So it's time for a taste test. I'll cut a piece here for John. It is a pretty dense cake. I will have to say that. Let me get a better knife. It's a pretty dense cake. And I don't know if that's just because of the honey that makes it so dense, but I would guess that that's probably the reason. Pardon the hands there, but that's what it looks like on the inside. Give it a taste.
I think I shall.
See what you think. I would have just picked it up and took a bite out of it, like a man.
It's chewy. It's sweet. Pretty good flavor.
Okay.
Not bad.
Now, not being Ukrainian, I can't say for certain if this is how it's supposed to come out. But so far, I haven't found anything that we've made that John won't eat. So I'd say that's a measure of success.
I think so.
So
pretty good.
Until next year, this is Spec Ops 56 saying good eating and over and out.
Hey, the fellas, how about some beans? Want some beans? Go through some mighty rough country tomorrow. You better have some beans.